Oh, mic check. Should be good to go. What's up, everybody? What's going on? What's up? Hit me with the big old good morning if you're over on right now. Hit me with the big old good morning on TikTok right now. What's up, everybody? Good morning. And we'll officially be diving into it here in a couple seconds. We're going. We should be all set. Let a few on in, and we'll dive right into it. Up, everybody. You guys want the full stream, by the way, go to YouTube. We're not on Rumble today. We are having some technical Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What's up and what's going on? Traders inside of chats. How we all doing? Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Right now starts the Rundown Show. Excited to be here. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to work with you. I'm excited to have another day. Guys, yesterday was a great first day in the market. Today so far, we got some birds. Look at Miss this. Up inside of Profit Chat, ALXO, $600 to start the day. Definitely getting the worm. I absolutely love it. But again, guys, today's going to be an amazing day. We're going to dive into it. Got going market, what you guys need to be of, what's my expectation with the spine to keep dive into my top penny stocks and my top day. Really make sure that you guys are dialed in, prepared, and just hack the day to be able to. That's why we're here. Come in. So far, so good. We're already up. Hey, Steve got me by a couple bucks. Like Steve up 613. Day coming in, crushing it on ALXO, and yeah, he got me by a couple bucks. I'm up $500. Got me by about 20. Steve, good job there, man, on that trade. It was a trade. I'm happy that you took it, and you're already off really nice. And you had a really good day yesterday to us. Locked in. But we're going to dive into it. We're going to make sure we get you guys prepared for the day. So you. Well, Joey, what's up, dude? Giovanni, Christmas, out of chat. Kevin, what's up? Michael, what's up, everybody? It's a competition. Yes, it is. In you, it's a competition, right? Just because we haven't said it doesn't mean competition, Steve. I know it's a competition. Self, okay, just be better than you were. Self, day over day. I love it. If you guys are over on TikTok, hit me with a big old good morning. What's up, everybody? If you're on YouTube, hit me with a big old good morning as well. Sounds pretty good on my end. Let me do one quick little adjustment on the audio, and then we should be all set, ready to rock and roll, guys. Uno momento. Go ahead and hit me with good morning anyway. If you guys are on TikTok, you guys can head over to the link in the bio. Click the live stream. You guys will get the full interactive live stream. Come over to YouTube, watch the stream. What's up, Rapid? Good morning. Steve is a boss. You're a boss, Catherine. What do you mean? Crushing it. Everybody's a boss. Out of chat. Love it. Okay, let's just take this gate off. Boop, boop. And maybe now you get a lot of background. I don't know, but let's do a quick little audio check here inside of chat. Again, you know me, I'm trying to stream to like 20,000 different places. And yeah, sometimes it gets a little overwhelming with how to do it. So quick little mic check here inside of chat. Make sure we're good on the audio. Make sure we're good on the stream as well. Just a thumbs up means a lot. And then if you are on YouTube, let me know. She made 13K yesterday. I said 10K. She made 13K. It's all good. Rapid, what's up, dude? Good morning, man. Audio's good. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's blow this up a little bit, and we'll dive right into it, guys. All right, eventually, we'll have a proper live stream. Eventually, when you come in, there'll be like a nice intro going. I'll go live. It'll be super flawless. No issues. But for now, you got to bear with me. Again, good morning, everybody. Let's give everybody a few more minutes to tune in. We got plenty of time here. We're actually about 5 minutes ahead of schedule. I know it says 8:15 to 9:15. It's actually 8:30 to 9:30. I don't know why my designer or the person that does all of our creative put 8:15 to 9:15. The streams actually are from 8:30 to 9:30. So we technically got a couple minutes to go. So let's do this. Let's start with some questions. If anybody has any general questions, let me know. 8:30, we will officially dive into our market overview, what we have going on today, what do we need to be mindful of, what are my expectations with the SPY, the Qs, right? Give you guys my game plan and the analysis on those top two plays, and then review my top options watch list and my penny stock watch list as well. And then if we have time, doing some ticker reviews, stock reviews for you guys as well to make sure we have an opportunity to talk about what you're looking at to really make sure that you are dialed in and that you are prepared for the day with the stocks that you will be watching. All right, so I got about 4 minutes to go. Any general questions, let me know. Let's dive into it. Let's start the day strong, and let's have some fun, guys. David, what's up, brother, man? And again, if you are on TikTok right now, links are in the bio if you want to come over to YouTube and watch the full stream. We are not live on Rumble today because we were having some stream issues over there. So if I don't have time to trade every day, is it still worth joining our community? If you are a student right now inside of the community and you're here on TikTok, go ahead and answer that question for him, right? My response would be very biased. It could be taken biasly. You go ahead and just give him a fantastic answer. I would say yes, right? Because you don't need to be here all day, every day to get a lot of value and to receive tons of education from this program, right? As long as your intentions are, I want to learn how to become a consistently profitable trader, and I want to go through a program and follow a proven process that works, and those are your intentions, not to get rich quick, right? Not to just mirror trade, but you actually want to learn how to become a professional trader, then I would say absolutely, right? You have access to a 12-month program, 12 months of group coaching, 12 months of live sessions and live trainings on top of the video lessons library and the courses that we have and everything that's a part of this program. So even if you can't be here all day, every day, if you come into the program, if you join the community, are you going to receive a lot of value and move the needle as a trader and start getting to your goals? Absolutely. Like Catherine says inside of chat. Catherine goes, I don't trade every day. I seem to be doing okay. Yeah, what'd you make yesterday, Catherine? Like, insane. $13,000? Like, absolutely unreal. It's like you've normalized, multiple $1,000 days consistently. But to answer your question straight up, yes. We have a lot of students that can't be here every single day, but a lot of these students come in and apply themselves when they have the time, and they are far better traders than what they were prior to joining. Prod Tom over on YouTube. What's up, guys and possibly girls? You never know. You got to say guys and girls. What's up, everybody? All right, so we're going to officially dive into it. Got a couple more minutes to go. Let a few other individuals tune on in, and then we'll just give you guys the breakdown and the rundown for today. We'll start with the SPY market overview, give you guys my analysis and game plan on the SPY, migrate over to the Qs, review my top penny stocks and option plays for today, and really make sure that you guys are prepared. So hopefully that answers your question. Blue, Heron, Blue. I'm just calling you Blue. My boy Blue. Hopefully that answers your question, man. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. I'm an open book, and I will absolutely try and point you in the right direction. Absolutely. And before, you're going to beat me to the punch, because later today I'm going to be making a post about the 5 seats that have opened to the community, And we do have a pretty nice discount, like 63% off to the community as well. And we have 5 seats available for that. So as you know, every now and then we open up more seats to the community just to make sure that we can give everybody our undivided personal attention when they're in the community, just to make sure it doesn't get too flooded or anything like that. So we do have 5 more seats open for the month of October. And with that, we're dropping the price like 60% as well to help you guys come on in, save a couple of bucks, and really just start hitting your goals by the end of the year, right? You got 90 days. You got 3 months to absolutely set goals, set intentions, and start crushing it and be a part of the 5%, right? A lot of people, 95% of people, what are they going to do? They're going to wait until the new year, set their new year resolutions, and then start. 3 weeks in, they're all going to fail. 90% of people give up and quit. Why would you want to wait until the first of the year to start setting intentions and goals, working towards those goals, when you can do it right now, right? You got the final quarter, the final 3 months. You got 90 days that you can set goals and intentions and absolutely dominate it and be so far past 90 to 95% of other people come 2024, right? And just imagine coming in and applying yourself 1% more every single day to learn this skill set, to learn how to trade or whatever it is, any skill set. Just apply yourself. Start going to the gym, eat right, take care of your mind, take care of your body, acquire the skill set, learn how to be a consistently profitable trader. Imagine how much you could do in the next 90 days versus waiting like 95% of people will wait to start their New Year's resolutions. It makes no sense. I got big goals and aspirations over these next 90 days. That's exactly what I'm doing. And so one way to incentivize you guys that are interested in learning how to trade is say, hey, we got 5 seats open. If you want to join, take one of the 5 seats. And there's like 63% off. So there's no excuse whatsoever to not join if you want to join, to actually start learning how to do this. And just imagine the progress that you guys can make over the next 90 days. Come 2024, you're off to the races. So if you guys are interested on TikTok, over on YouTube, the link's in my bio. There's 5 seats available. And again, whenever that page like goes away, like you click the link and there's nothing there, that means the 5 seats have been taken. All right, so it's officially 8:30. Let's go ahead and officially dive into it. So let's start with a market overview. What do we have going on in the economic calendar today, right? That's where we always want to start. What's going on today? Do we have anything of high importance, right? Any economic data, any events occurring that could absolutely move the market? Yesterday, we had a Fed speaking heavy day. I mean, you had Jay Powell and 4 other Fed members speaking. You had 10 o'clock data. I mean, yesterday was a really choppy day with everything that we had going on. And so we always want to start with what's going on today. Make sure we're getting positioned correctly. Make sure that we're mindful of these times to where, hey, we don't find ourselves getting blown out of a trade and taking a big loss because we didn't know that a Fed member was speaking at 11 o'clock, or we had ISM manufacturing data at, say, 10 o'clock, whatever the case is. So today is October 3rd on this beautiful 2023 Tuesday. What do we got going on the economic calendar today of medium to high importance, right? So again, we're just looking at anything that's of medium importance or high importance data that's dropping that we need to be mindful of. So 10 o'clock today, you got to be mindful because we do have JOLTS job openings, data dropping here at 10 a.m., right? And that is definitely data that will move the market. So again, make sure that you are mindful of 10 a.m. today if you're in the SPY, the Qs, or really just anything for that matter. Penny stocks, it's not going to be a problem. Penny stocks are not going to react to this kind of data. The SPY and the Qs will, right? Large cap stocks like Tesla, Apple, Amazon will, absolutely. So what I always recommend you guys do is go right to your chart, grab yourself a beautiful line, and just mark it up, 10 o'clock. You see that little blue line? That blue line represents we have something of high importance coming on up at 10 o'clock. So the closer to the blue line I get, the more hands-on I am, right? Hey, if I'm in a trade, maybe I should flatten my trade. Hey, maybe I should put a hard stop in the system. Maybe I should reduce my risk. Maybe if I'm looking for a trade, but we're like 2 minutes away from data, maybe I just hold off and sit on my hands. I know that something of high importance is going to happen at 10 a.m. today, and I want to mitigate my risk, right? That's why we stay profitable in the market, right? You can't win all the time. You're going to lose, but we can control how much we're going to lose, right? So be good managers of risk. Be good losers. And in order to be able to mitigate risk in the market, you have to be mindful of these types of things, right? So again, mark up your chart, 10 o'clock. We do have JOLTS job openings data dropping, and that's definitely some data that will move the market, okay, guys? So now that we got that out of the way, Other than that, we don't really have too much. After market close, you do have API, crude oil stock exchange data dropping. And we got another data heavy day tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. So you got a lot of data dropping this week. And again, just a lot of this data that you guys got to be mindful of, especially if you're trading the SPY and the Qs, right? Can't tell you how many times I've had someone hit me up and say, Josh, I was in this trade and I lost 80% because the market just ripped out of nowhere. I was like, what time were you in the trade? 10 o'clock. Well, we had data at 10 o'clock. Why were you in? I don't know. I didn't know there was data. It's important to understand what's going on in the market when it's happening. So again, you guys can be mindful. And yes, I'm stressing the crap out of that because it's so important to make sure you understand what's going on and when it's going on. Can't say how many times as a newer trader I've been burned on positions because I didn't know these things, right? We've all been there. We've all made mistakes, but I want to make sure that you guys don't make the same mistakes that I made as a new trader. So 10 o'clock, be mindful. Now, what can we see take place on the SPY today? Well, let's just start with the daily time frame, mark up our key areas and key zones of support and resistance, right? Super simple. Start on the daily, the higher time frame, and identify high probability key areas of support and resistance, right? Areas where the market could go to and then possibly reverse on back down. Or areas where the market can come down to and hold a support, for example, and reverse back on up, right? I love trading reversals. So many traders want to find the next stock that can go 500%. I want to find the stock that's already gone 500% to where I can short the stock back on down to reality, right? So many traders want to chase stocks to the downside, right? Chase puts, when in reality, they could just wait and look for a solid high probability reversal. For example, I love trading reversals off high probability key areas of support and resistance. And how do I identify high probability key areas? I start on the higher time frame, right? The higher time frame levels will carry more significance than, say, pre-market levels. So I always start with the daily time frame, and then I go down to a 4 hour, a 2, a 1, all the way down to a 5 minute, get those levels really fine-tuned, and then from there, I'm prepared. Now I just have to wait for the market to come to one of these levels and then present me with an opportunity to take a trade. Trading can be that simple, and we make it that simple. So let's start right on the daily here on the SPY, and let's start identifying our key areas of support and resistance. So the first zone that we're going to have here on the SPY is 424.46 to 425.04. That is going to be your first zone of support or resistance. And why do I say support or resistance? I'm starting on the daily. I don't know where the SPY is at in pre-market. I have no freaking idea where the SPY is trading. Is the SPY trading right here? Is the SPY going to be gapping up way up here? I don't know, but I really don't care at this point in time. All I care about is identifying these key daily levels. So it's going to be an area of support or resistance. Why do I say that? Because if we gap up today and come down into it, well, hey, that's going to be a level of support. If we gap down today and come into it, that's going to be a level of resistance. It is going to be a key zone that you guys need to have identified and pretty much marked up here on the SPY. Again, that's between 424.46 and 425.04. Next zone here on the SPY is up between 428.61 and 428.78. And then your next lower zone to the downside is down between 422.29 and 422.91. Right? These are going to be your three key highest probability zones of support resistance for today. Now, are there going to be any other areas in between? 100%. Right? These are your key, most significant zones on the SPY. Now, yes, there are going to be other areas here on the SPY. For example, I'm seeing some potential support resistance between 426.37 and 426.61, right? It was yesterday's open. Look left as well. It was tons of daily support back here in June. So that's going to be an area of concern as well. Now, does a key significant level like the first three we discussed, it's not as significant as the other ones, but it's still an area that we need to keep on watch and definitely an area that we need to be mindful of. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that zone marked up as well. And again, that's between 426.37 and 426.61. We have four key zones here on the SPY. Now what do? Go right down into our 5-minute time frame, and then just look and see where the SPY's at. See if these zones have been respected in, say, pre-market, right? And really just start fine-tuning these zones. What do I mean fine-tune the zones, right? One thing you can do is go from a daily time frame down into a 4-hour time frame and really just make those fine-tune adjustments. Then say go down into a 2-hour time frame. Really just make those fine-tune adjustments and make sure those levels are spot on, dialed in. And the more you do this, the more you fine-tune it and pretty much perfect these levels, the more conviction and the more confidence you're going to have around these levels, right? If you're like, yeah, this is a freaking area of support, 100%. Like, this is a super solid support level, right? You're pretty convicted in that level. And if the stock comes down to that level and sets up, you're going to be pretty confident to take a trade at that level because that's how convicted you are in that level that you've identified, right? So mark up those key levels, right? Really fine-tune them, build a lot of conviction around them, and when the market comes to you and starts to set up, you're going to be extremely confident to take a trade at or around one of those levels that you've identified. And so that's going to be that for the SPY. Those are going to be your 4 zones of support resistance today on the SPY. So I always like to try and identify, if I can, right, in pre-market, depending on how we're moving before market open, in pre-market, I like to identify what I call a line in the sand, right? That zone, that level, that is the make or break for the SPY, in my opinion. And so some days we come in and we could be just pretty much in the middle of a support zone and a resistance zone. And we don't necessarily have a line in the sand to keep on high watch right at 9:30 when the market opens. But some days we come on in, get prepared, come down into the 5-minute time frame while the SPY is moving in pre-market, and hey, based on how it's developing, based on how it's moving overnight, we can identify what we call a line in the sand, a make or break zone for the SPY. And so the line in the sand today for me on the SPY is going to be the zone between 424.46 and 425.04. That is my line in the sand, and that is the make or break for the SPY. Okay, so if the SPY opens in the zone and we hold a support, we can definitely see the SPY push into this next overhead zone of resistance, that zone between 426.37 and 426.61. Okay, and so if we open and stay above this zone and hold this zone as support, we would obviously be looking to play calls above this zone as long as we're trading and holding that zone of support. However, if we see the SPY open below this zone, push into it, and stay below it as resistance, right, then we would be looking to play puts as long as we're trading below that zone. Where to? Our next key zone of support, which would be that lower zone that we identified between 422.29 and 422.91. Okay, so that is going to be my line in the sand here today on the SPY. Again, that zone between 424.46 and 425.04. That's my line in the sand. That's my lits, the lits. And again, that's the make or break. We hold that zone, we stay above it, we play calls. We drop below that zone and stay below that zone. We then simply look to play puts. That zone is your line in the sand here today on the SPY, guys. Okay, and obviously here inside of chat at 9:30, we get more data based on that new tool and algorithm that I've been testing here the past few weeks. And so right around like 9:35, we will get our weekly and monthly hedge pressure levels, bull zone, bear zone, redistribution zones. Again, all of this extra data that we can use in conjunction with the analysis we've already done to really help identify confluence, right? And these are going to be some high probability areas based on this data we get when the market opens. So at 9:35, we'll identify what's our weekly hedge pressure, monthly hedge pressure levels, what zone are we in, what are the liquidity maps suggesting for the day, and we'll continue to take that data, apply it to our charts to help establish confluence, again, if we're looking to take some trades, guys. So we'll do that here inside of chat when we get that data here at like 9:35. All right, guys. So that is going to be the game plan and the overview with the SPY, okay? Be mindful, 10 o'clock a.m., we have JOLTS job openings, okay? Key economic data you guys need to be mindful of. We have our 4 key main zones of support resistance identified. We now know what we need to do. Let the market open. Let the market come to us, to one of these zones. Provide us with an opportunity. Set up. Give us a reason to take a trade. Build plans, execute, make money. That simple. So before we move on to the Qs, do we have any questions whatsoever about the SPY, the analysis, the game plan, the overview? Want to make sure that before we move on, you guys are all dialed in and really just prepared, ready to rock and roll for the day. The Celsius is super tasty. Yeah, we are not on Rumble today. I'm having some live stream technical difficulties. So if you guys want the full interactive stream, links in the bio, go over to YouTube and just go ahead and watch us over on YouTube. Rapid's dialed. I'm freaking dialed in as well. Like, I'm ready to have another big day today. We're already up $500 on the day. We called out ALXO this morning. We typed up one alert for the $10 dip buy. I made like $400 on that trade. Quick little 2-minute scalp. And then right after I got out of that trade, it set up for a higher low break of a downtrend, and I had to jump on the mic. I jumped on the mic. I'm like, guys, we have a trade right here, right now. ALXO, break of the downtrend right around like $10.30, stops under 10, $11 plus target on ALXO. And we absolutely dominated that trade, guys. That was that higher low break of the downtrend we had right around like 7:30. I jumped on the mic inside a chat as quickly as possible to get you guys up to date or up to speed on that. And yeah, it was a great trade to start the day. I mean, yesterday I was down a little bit from the goal I wanted to hit, right? I was up about $900 at one point in time. I closed my day down, you know, like up $600. Today we're up like $600. My goal is $1,000 a day, right? Yesterday 600, today so far $600. So I'm slightly below the goal, right? But we're getting there. It's not an everyday thing. It's not an every week thing. It's like, how can I close out my month? How can I close out my quarter? So, I mean, yesterday was a great day. Today so far is a great day as well. Again, coming in, early bird getting the worm, 2 for 2 on ALXO, up 584. Not a bad way to start the day, guys. Right, so again, want to make sure that you guys are all set. Look at Steve. Steve's got another $350 here this morning. Good job, Steve. Way to get it. Way to get it, bro. Way to get it. I love it, man. Coming on in, getting super prepared, making it happen. Ow! Let's go. All right, so last thing I want to do is go ahead and talk about those zones that we have on the SPY. Okay, so I'm going to give you those 4 daily zones again. The lowest zone you have is 422.29 to 422.91. Then it's 424.46 to 425.04. Then you're up between 426.37 and 426.61. And then finally, your top zone is 428.61 to 428.87 here on the SPY, guys. All right? Those are going to be your main zones here on the SPY. Your line in the sand is that zone between 424.46 and 425.04. Okay? Now let's go ahead and dive into the Qs. Okay? Q. I've already done the legwork for you. We'll dive right into it. I'll give you those zones, give you my game plan for today. Your line in the sand for the Qs is this zone between 357 and 357.57. Okay, that is going to be your main zone. That is your line in the sand. Okay, if the Qs come down into the zone and we hold above that zone and we're trading above that zone, holding it as support, we have potential back up to 360 and then potentially 361.61 here on the Qs. That's going to be some overhead resistance, is 361.61. If for some reason we see the market just absolutely rip today and we ever see the Qs get above and stay above that 361.61 level, we have great potential to fill this daily gap on the Qs up towards around 364.47. There is a daily gap that could get filled here on QQQ up around 364.47. That's if the Qs come down to that lower zone and we just absolutely see the market green today and rip today. All right. However, we'll just have to play it by ear, right? Again, the line in the sand, your make or break, is this lower zone between 357 and 357.57. We come down into that zone and fall below it and stay below it. Well, then we want to be looking to play puts today. Where to? The next zone to the downside. Where's your next zone to the downside going to be? It's going to be this lower zone between 352.96 and 353.24. That's going to be the next zone to the downside. And so if we fall below our line in the sand zone, stay below it, hold below it, trade below it, and there's a reason to get in, hey, we'll play puts on down into the low 353s, okay? However, we always want to have an opposite plan in place just in case. I always like to have a short plan in place and a long plan in place, and then let the market figure out direction and just trade with the market. Like, I'm not coming in long bias or short bias. I cannot stand traders that talk about having bias, right? I'm 80% bullish today, 80% bearish. Well, guess what? The market doesn't care how bullish or bearish you are. The market's going to do what the market wants to do, right? So come in neutral. Have a long plan in place. Have a short plan in place. Once the market gives you sense of direction and actually confirms direction for the day and opportunity, all right, maybe you lean into that bullish bias or bearish bias, but traders before 9:30 already establishing bias for the day makes no sense to me, right? And I can't tell you how many times I'd come in, I'm like, I'm 90% bullish today, and the market dumps. It makes no sense. You have no idea what the market's going to do. So have a long plan in place and have a short plan in place just in case. Be very neutral, right down the middle. You don't care if the market rips today. You don't care if the market dumps today. Do you honestly care if the market shoots up $10 or down $10? Do you honestly care what direction the market moves? I don't care, right? If the market dumps, so be it. I'll play puts today. And guess what? I'll dollar cost average into my long-term investments. If the market rips today, so be it. I'll play calls. And I won't dollar cost average into my long-term investments. But I don't care where the market goes if I'm not in a position, right? If I'm completely flat, which I am, I'm flat. I'm a D trader. I don't care where the market goes. Long, short, up, down, green, red, side. I don't care. As long as there's opportunity, I will identify the opportunity. What side of the trade should I get on and make sure I'm on the right side of the trade? And if I ever find out that I'm on the wrong side of the trade, get out, walk away. And so that's what it comes down to. Have a long plan in place, have a short plan in place. Don't come in with so much bias, because bias will absolutely destroy you in the market. I cannot tell you how many times I've come in 80% bullish today and the market just absolutely dumps. And I'm sitting there just in a long position or sitting there looking for longs. And the best opportunity is to play the market short, right? So your line in the sand, we've established it. Okay, if you hold above that zone and stay above that zone, we'll play calls today, right? Up to that 361.61. If we fall below that zone, stay below that zone, we will look to be playing puts down into the low 353s here on the Qs. Right before we move on, talk about our top option plays for the day and our top pennies. Do we have any questions about the SPY or the Qs? And if you guys are on TikTok right now for the pre-market rundown and you guys want to see the charts, the examples, the visual representations, all that good stuff, not just my wonderful, beautiful face, go click the link in my bio here on TikTok. Go join the YouTube stream, and we are live on the tube. And actually, before we move on to my top 3 options in penny stocks, let's review some of your guys' stocks today. I'm going to save the top 3 for everybody inside of our community, right? I love you all, but I'm going to save the top 3 plays, pennies, and options for after 9:15 when the live stream shut down. So right now, let's go ahead and continue over the next 20 minutes and just do a nice review with you guys on the stocks that you'll be looking at for the day and really make sure that you guys are prepared. Catherine, AM to the D. Let's go take a look at AMD. Start right on the daily. And all we're trying to do is identify key zones of support resistance, right? So we're just looking at significant points in price and just simply trying to connect the dots. And so right here, let's start at yesterday's low day and look left. We have a lot of touch points right at this zone between 101.72 and 101.82. So check this out. You got yesterday's low of day, right? You come back over here. You had that spiking high. You see that spiking high we had on March 22nd. Nice rejection. March 23rd, we tried to push through it. Big rejection. That was our gap up open before that nice big push. We came down and held that level as support, low of day. Came down and held that level of support, low of day. And it's also yesterday's low of day as well. That zone between 101.71 and 101.82. That's going to be the first zone we go ahead and get marked up here on AMD. Let's go find our next lower zone here on AMD. And the zone that I'm seeing is going to be this zone right here. Let me make that small adjustment real quick. Between $100.70 and $100.89. That's going to be your next lower zone to the downside. Okay? Low of day, gap down open, low of day, multiple touch points at that zone. That's going to be a decent little zone here on AMD. You can even see it was a lot of support resistance in the past, going back in the last year. But we have a valid zone, again, down between $100.70, $100.89. Now let's go ahead and start identifying some of our overhead zones, right? Start at yesterday's high a day. And again, we're just looking to see if we have any valid points, starting just with yesterday's high a day. So we got an okay zone here. We got an okay zone. We got yesterday's high a day. We have the low of day from May 22nd, right, where we came down, hit that low of day, and had a big-time rip to the upside. So you can see that we got quite a few points at that zone as well. And again, I'll give you that level. That's between 103.49 and 103.71. We can see we had resistance, turn support, turn resistance, turn support, turn resistance, turn resistance. It's also yesterday's high a day. We've hit that level several times. So that's going to be a valid zone here on AMD. And then finally, we're going to go mark up Friday's open and high a day, right? We gapped up, we spiked a little bit, and then we went red. So that's going to be our next overhead zone of potential resistance, really depending on where AMD is at. Okay, and that zone right there is between 104.70 and 104.95. So we have our 4 key zones here on AMD, right into a 5-minute time frame. Where are we at? We're actually pulling back into that lower zone between 101.71 and 101.82. There is a nice line in the sand for you, Catherine. So that is your line in the sand on AMD, 101.71 to 101.82 here on AMD. Okay, so if we hold that lower zone on up, we have potential to get up to that second zone between 103.50 to 103.70. Okay, then that next overhead zone up towards around the high 104s. Okay, so that's going to be your line in the sand here. If we hold above that zone, stay above that zone, we could look to play calls today. But that's also assuming the SPY and the Qs are holding up and moving higher today as well. So definitely be looking at the SPY and the Qs today. Right? If the SPY and the Qs are holding on up, looking somewhat bullish, and you see AMD holding that zone, you should be pretty confident that AMD could hold on up and move higher because the overall market looks somewhat bullish, looking like the market can move to the upside as well, talking about the SPY and the Qs. But if you're looking at AMD and it's sitting at the zone, but you go look at the SPY and the Qs and we're cracking those zones of support, looking like we're going to start dropping lower, that could kill a long opportunity on AMD and bring it down below that zone. So if we ever see that zone fail to hold on up as support and we fall below it and stay below it, meanwhile, we take a look at the SPY and the Qs and they look pretty weak as well, we could then look to play puts, right, here on AMD below that zone all the way down to that lower zone that we identified between $100.70 then $100.89, that lower zone. Okay, then you're just coming down to $100 because $100 is going to be a strong psychological support level here on AMD. Okay, so again, your line in the sand, I call it your lits That's going to be that zone between 101.71 and 101.82. That is going to be your make or break. You hold that zone on up. You play calls today up towards around 103.50. You fall below that zone, stay below that zone. You're looking to play some puts down towards around $100.70, $100.89, and then 100 buckarooskies on the penny. Jay King saying, yep, this is better than TikTok, 100%. TikTok is a way for you guys to say, good morning, Josh, what's up? And then I say, hey, come to YouTube because now you can see the charts. Much better than TikTok. So links in the bio, come to YouTube, and just come to YouTube every morning, Monday through Friday at 8:15 to 8:30. And we will always be live. And you can see everything we're talking about with the charts. So if you want to see my face, okay, that's fine. Stay here on TikTok. You actually want to see what we're discussing here on the charts, way better format for the stream. Link in the bio here on TikTok. Go to YouTube and then join our stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're notified when we go live, because one thing we're going to start doing is we're going to start going live in the evening as well, right around 8 o'clock, to pretty much just recap our day, drop some value bombs, do some lessons, provide some education and value, and have some fun. So again, you guys want to be notified when we go live in the evenings as well. All right, so AMD, we're good. Kevin, Neo, long January call, 15 strike. Neo, let's take a look at Neo real quick. I think you got a smidge more room to the downside, just a smidge. You got a gap fill here on Neo between 961 and 1022. So you got that nice little gap. That's also up around your 200 SMA. And this is a pretty key zone of support down here between 835 and 846. That's a pretty key zone of support here on Neo. Overhead resistance 960. That's the gap down high a day. And then potentially to close that gap at 1022. So you're wanting to go January calls, and you want to go a $15 strike. That is really far out of the money. I think you're shooting for the stars. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I think you're definitely going, way deep out of the money. I mean, these contracts can't be that expensive going into January. I can't imagine how expensive those contracts are. You may even be able to get like a $10 strike, an $11 strike for a good premium, and the spread probably a little bit lower. So maybe look not going so far out of the money, 15. If you can get closer to in the money, like at a $10 or $11 strike going January, I think that's more realistic. And potentially, you can see this thing surpass that strike that you have well before your expiration. But here's the thing. I wouldn't just yet be looking for calls. If it were me and I saw the chart, which I'm looking at the chart, and I wanted to get long, I don't think it's a good time to get long yet. I wouldn't, personally. I wouldn't get long on Neo until I see it down around 835 to 846 and then see if it even sets up in the first place, right? Because if we come back down into that lower zone of support, which we can clearly see it's a very valid zone of support, okay? If we can come down into that zone of support once again, what kind of formation could that give you, right? That could be a little bit of a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder. That's a high probability reversal formation off of a key zone of support, right? And then maybe there's something else that sets up. Maybe at that point in time, you get some, bullish divergence. I have no idea, right? But it gives you a little bit more time to see a better setup, to give you lower risk and much higher reward. And then maybe you see a few other things that stand out to you, and now you have confluence, and now you have a high probability setup. Buying it right now, it's a pretty random area to be getting in right here, right now, in my opinion. I don't see support until we get back down into the zone between 835 and 846. So me personally, I would wait. And look at that. We're actually gapping down. That's fantastic. We're going to be gapping down today. We could be gapping down and pulling into this zone. But I still don't think that necessarily means you just want to go all in today. You want to wait and watch to see what NIO does at this lower zone, right? Let it open today. Let it pull back into that lower zone of support, and then just wait and see what it does. If it's holding on up and there's good price action and you start building a plan, mapping out risk reward, and it's looking good, maybe you start scaling in today. But if NIO opens and just goes, boop, 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 you're not even getting in the first place, you know? So with that being said, I would wait until A, we come down into that zone, and B, wait until there's a solid reason, even intraday, to get in. Price action, whatever the case is, right? Make sure you have multiple separate reasons to take that trade. But what I would say is there's potential to see NIO come into the zone, hold on up, and then start to reverse on the daily. We have room to 960 and 1022. And this is something that could play out in the next 30 to 45 days. So if you're thinking, right, going out into January, you're buying yourself a lot of time, and you're really giving yourself enough time for this to play out if it happens to take longer than 30 to 45 days. But if we do come into this zone and hold on up and we start to bounce and start to see that reversal, I would say in the next 30 to 45 days, realistically, we could see NIO up towards around 960, $10, and then possibly filling that daily gap up towards around 1022. But I would not touch it until it hits that zone, until it confirms that it's going to hold that zone and you get validation and confirmation to go ahead and get in. Does that make sense, Kevin? And one thing that I would do as well is go to option profit calculator. Okay, go ahead and type in that trade plan. NIO, January expiration, right? $15 strike, current price. And it will actually show you what the option will be worth at a certain date when NIO's at a certain price. So you can already say in 45 days, if NIO is at $10, what are these options going to be worth, right? And it may not even be worth anything. It may not even be enough of a return for you to put on that risk. So go to optionprofitcalculator.com, right? You're going to go long on calls. Go ahead and start typing in, everything, the details regarding those options, right? Your expiration, your strike, how many contracts. And it's going to show you this map. It looks like a heat map of what the option will be worth when NIO's at a certain price at a certain point in time. Right? And then from there, you can get a really good idea. Is this even a trade that you want to get involved with options? Now, if you're trading shares, trade shares. But trading options, swing trading options, you definitely need to go ahead and calculate out that risk reward and see what those option premiums are even going to be worth. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to take a swing trade. Okay, and I was getting ready to jump in. It looks fantastic. I go to option profit calculator. I start mapping everything out. And the risk is far greater than the reward. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I take these options? This thing has to move $5 more than my expectations for the risk reward to actually make sense by the next couple of weeks based on my time horizon. I'm like, I can't take options. I'm going to take shares instead. So that's definitely something to get in the habit of when you're looking to swing trade options on something like NIO. Is go to that option profit calculator, type everything in, and make sure risk reward makes sense based on your time horizon and your expectations. So at 13 in on November, November 1st, 238%. So what you're saying is by November 1st, if NIO's price is at $13 and you're trading those January 15 expirations, they'll be up 238%. Okay. So what's your downside? You got to always look at your downside too. Don't just get so fixated on how much you can make. You need to understand how much could you lose. So what if NIO, let's say you get your entry at 840 and you put a stop loss at 780. Okay, so in the next 30 days, if NIO is at 780, what are they going to be down? That's what you need to understand too. What are they going to be down at that point in time if the price and the stock actually goes against you, right? Are you going to be down 100%? Well, then it wouldn't really make any sense. So again, just map out your risk reward on those. But again, back to NIO. I would wait until it gets down into the zone and properly sets up in that daily zone of support, right? Then go ahead and attack it. And that's going to be a pretty key zone. Wouldn't we all agree? Look at this low before we bounce big time. Look at this low before we bounce big time. Look at how it turned into all of that resistance. Support. And we can see that we came down into that support level, We fell below it, got back above it, and now we're returning to it. That would be an inverted head and shoulders formation on the daily. It's a simple reversal formation that we can definitely see play on out here on NIO. Off of a key, and again, I want to stress that that's off of a key zone of support. It's not just forming at a random location. This formation is forming at a very, very key zone of support, which increases the probabilities on this trade. I mean, I like it. I like the potential that it shows. One thing that I would do, Kevin, is just continue to bring it to my attention periodically today and the rest of this week. And we'll continue to, basically look at NEO together and really come to a conclusion. Does it make sense to be getting in? Do we have confirmation? Is there a solid plan to be built? And is there a reason to, execute? So, all right. All right, you got about 5 more minutes. We got time for one more ticker review, right? We broke down the SPY, we broke down the Qs, had an opportunity to discuss AMD and NEO. Do we have one more stock review before we dive into my top penny stocks for the day? And I give you guys the actual game plans, right? We're going to be watching ALXL, or obviously all over SPRC, and then possibly FEMY. That's a prior day mover. I have Walmart on watch today, WNT. We got Amazon on watch today, and then we may have Rivian on watch today as well. Yeah, so do you ever play like an IV crush? So yeah, so like a week before earnings, or like the week of earnings, we already know that the IV is sky high at its highest level. If it's a company that I want to own, NVIDIA, I don't know, Google, Tesla, right? I will sell cash secured puts going maybe 10%, 15% discount from the current price and hold through earnings. So if the stock shoots up, right, boom, the premiums are completely crushed, the IV crush. If the stock opens flat, right, if the stock opens flat, right, you're going to experience the IV crush and the theta decay. And if the stock comes down and you take ownership of those 100 shares, it's already a company that you want to own 100 shares of. So that's what I do, is again, I start looking to sell cash secured puts ahead of earnings when the implied volatility is at its highest level on a company that I wouldn't mind owning 100 shares of in the first place. So if I get assigned, I get assigned. It's okay. So yeah, but most of the time, if you do it strategically, going 10% out, right, 10% away from the current price, it's very rare that you're going to see that 10% drop, right? It's happened. I've taken ownership of some shares before, but it's a company I want to own in the first place. Say 80 to 90% of the time, you're good, right? And you're just going to see those premiums get absolutely destroyed, and that's the goal. You're selling for premium. You want those premiums to get absolutely destroyed. You got theta decay, and again, you already know that the implied volatility is at its highest level right before earnings, and you're going to see that IV get destroyed. I mean, look at NVIDIA last time with earnings. The implied volatility the day of earnings was like 160, 170%. Literally, the very next day, the implied volatility was back down at 70%, right? We were actually mapping out those options, right? What they were worth the day of earnings and then after earnings. And NVIDIA opened up relatively flat, too. It wasn't a huge gap or gap down, right? And so what we saw is those option premiums got crushed 50%. And NVIDIA was virtually around the same price. It wasn't a massive gap up or gap down, but the implied volatility, that IV crush, just destroyed the premiums, and you had that theta decay as well. They were down 50 to 60% overnight in premium, and the price was virtually the same. So being an option seller strategically like that is a very great way to make, pretty easy money. And even if, right, the stock dumps and you take those 100 shares, that's on a company that you want to own for the next 10 years anyway. Then start writing covered calls. So again, a lot of different ways to make money in the market besides day trading penny stocks, right? Besides just day trading options, become an options seller as well. There's so many ways to make money in the market, and so many simple, easy ways, like selling options. is a really easy way to make money as long as you do it the right way, right? Not selling options on something that you don't want to own. Do it on something that you want to own for the next 5, 10, 20 years. Is the audio cutting out? I mean, it should be fine. I mean, it should be okay. I mean, it looks fine on my end. I can turn the gain up a little bit here. Give me 1 sec. Hello! 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 Can you hear me now? Bueller. 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 Hello? Mic check, mic check. I mean, let me just give me 1 second before we dive into the next 3 stocks I want to review. But on my end, it sounds fine. Yeah, so I was backed away from the mic a little bit on that, but I turned up the gain. That should be good. And let me do one other thing as well. Let me, I have a noise gate on my mic, so it filters out some of the background noise when I'm not talking. I can just go ahead and yeah, let me go ahead and just change the settings on that noise gate, and we should be good. Check, 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 mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. That should be good now. It shouldn't cut out as much now. I turned my open threshold down a little bit, so it opens quicker. So that's going to capture even my whispers. You should be able to hear my whispers now pretty fucking good. All right, that should be a lot better. And plus, I turned the gain up. So there you guys go. Yeah, it is the noise gate. So we okay now? Even when I step back away, it should be good. You should be able to hear it. Even if I turn my face now, it should be a little bit better. We good? Cool. So even when I'm talking like this, it's pretty good now. You guys are all set. All right, cool. All right, so everybody on YouTube, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy to have you guys here. And again, just make sure you're here every single morning, Monday through Friday from 8:30 until around, 9:15, 9:30-ish. Depends on how long we go. Some days we go up until 9:30, but we're going to go ahead and end our morning session. Appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. Hit the notification bell because we do go live every single morning, Monday through Friday. And again, we're going to be starting some evening sessions as well just to show up and really educate you guys towards the end of the day, especially if you can't attend every single morning session. So it'll be fun. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like it as well, like the stream. And again, hit that notification bell. It means a lot, guys, and tune in every single morning. Other than that, over on the tube, peace out. Have an amazing day. Trade smart, trade safe. And I'll catch you guys back here bright and early tomorrow morning, right around 8:15 to 8:30.